The stars of the galaxy had always been a mystery to humanity. For centuries, Earth had looked up at the night sky with curiosity and wonder, knowing little about the universe beyond their small planet. Then, one day, things change. A distant, unknown signal reached Earth, not from another country, not even from another planet, but from the deepest corners of space. The signal was brief and strange, unlike anything Earth had ever sent or received. At first, it was nothing more than a few strange beeps and static, but then something clear broke through. A message, though garbled, that read, "Warning to humanity. You are not alone. The Galactic Empire is coming." The message was quickly analyzed, but it made no sense. The idea that someone, something, had been watching Earth for so long seemed impossible. But the message continued, growing clearer as scientists at various space agencies worked tirelessly to decode it. The message was from a species far beyond the capabilities of humanity, boasting technology and knowledge that Earth's best minds could barely comprehend. The Galactic Empire, a vast and powerful force that controlled countless star systems, was on its way to Earth. They had known about humanity for some time and were coming to claim the planet. But before the message ended, it gave a final chilling warning. Run while you still can. While humans debated what this meant, the leaders of the Earth nations began to realize that they had never been alone in the universe. The thought was terrifying, and no one knew what to do. Was this message a threat, or simply a warning? The scientists and military officials worked tirelessly, but there was one undeniable truth. The message was real. The Empire's ships were out there, and they were coming for Earth. Meanwhile, the leaders of the Galactic Empire took a very different approach. They had known about Earth for some time, having watched from the shadows. The Empire had always been quick to stamp out any threat, quickly overtaking planets and species that dared challenge their rule. But Earth was different. It had no history of intergalactic conflict, no powerful fleet or armies to defend itself. It was a species just beginning to spread its reach beyond the confines of its solar system. Yet, the message from Earth's scientists and military leaders was clear. Run while you still can. The Empire was not used to being mourned. To them, it was an insult. A species as young as humanity could never stand up to the might of the Galactic Empire, and so they dismissed it as a fluke. In fact, many officials laughed at the idea. How could a species so young even begin to threaten them? The Galactic Empire had conquered countless star systems and a message from an unknown planet. It was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. But the Empire underestimated humanity's ability to adapt. They thought their technology and power would overwhelm Earth's defenses with ease. After all, Earth's greatest technology was still far behind what the Empire had achieved. They had ships capable of destroying planets, weapons that could tear through the strongest defenses, and fleets large enough to conquer an entire galaxy. It seemed clear to them that the humans' message was nothing more than a last-ditch effort to delay the inevitable. The Empire made its move. The first fleet sent to Earth was massive. Hundreds of ships equipped with the finest weapons and technology the Empire had to offer. As they entered the Sol system, they expected to find a planet that was ill-prepared for their arrival. They assumed that Earth's governments would fall quickly, that humanity would bend to their will as every species before had done. But they were wrong. Humans were not ready for war, not by their standards. But they were ready to fight for their home. Earth's scientists, engineers, and military strategists had been preparing for this moment without even knowing it. For years, they had quietly studied the strange signals that had come from space, learning everything they could about the Galactic Empire. They had built secret technologies, designed defense systems, and developed tactics that they hoped would give them a fighting chance. The first contact between humanity and the Empire was not what anyone had expected. The humans, with their limited resources, mounted an unexpected resistance. Their first counterattack was small, just a handful of ships designed to test the Empire's defenses. But it was enough to show the Empire that Earth was not as weak as they had believed. The Empire was stunned. They had expected a swift and easy victory, but instead, they found themselves facing a determined species that was more than ready to fight. The Empire's commanders ordered the destruction of Earth's military assets, but the humans had anticipated this. They fought back, using the knowledge they had gained and the element of surprise to keep the Empire at bay. The message from Earth's leaders was simple. We warned you to run, but now we will fight. And so the first encounter between Earth and the Galactic Empire began. The fate of the planet was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity would not go down without a fight. The Empire's arrival in the Sol system was like a storm on the horizon, ominous and inevitable. The First Fleet, a formidable display of power, entered the solar system with ease. A dozen massive ships, each the size of small moons, accompanied by dozens of smaller, highly advanced warships, began to take positions around Earth. They had come to conquer, to claim the planet for the Galactic Empire, just as they had done with countless others before. The Emperor, sitting on his golden throne light years away, was certain that Earth would fall in no time. There was no resistance that could stop them. But they had not anticipated the humans' resourcefulness, nor their refusal to surrender. In the cities of Earth, military leaders and scientists were racing against time. Sarah Orion, a decorated officer from Earth's space fleet, stood at the helm of the United Earth Defense Council. She knew the odds were stacked against them, but she refused to give in to fear. Sarah had spent years studying the signals from the Empire, and now the time had come to use everything they had learned. She had seen the Empire's might firsthand through intercepted communications, and she knew they would underestimate the humans. They always did. Sarah's plan was simple. They wouldn't face the Empire head-on in an all-out battle. The humans couldn't win that way. Not yet. Instead, they would play to their strengths: guerrilla tactics, quick strikes, and an unwillingness to back down. It was not a strategy for victory, but it was a strategy to survive. Every attack they made would count, and every move would be calculated to send a clear message to the Empire. Earth would not fall without a fight. As the first wave of Empire ships prepared to launch their attack, humans began to strike back. It started with small sabotage missions. A few Earth ships, barely equipped for battle, launched surprise attacks on the Empire's supply vessels. The small fleet, led by Commander Orion, used every trick in the book, disguising their ships in debris fields, using low-tech countermeasures to confuse the enemy, and striking with precision before retreating back into the shadows of space. The Empire, confident in their overwhelming superiority, barely took notice of these attacks. Their leaders simply assumed the humans were a nuisance, a small obstacle that would soon be crushed under the might of their forces. They couldn't have been more wrong. Every strike, no matter how small, weakened the Empire's supply lines, distracted their forces, and slowed down their plans. The humans were relentless, showing that even a small, seemingly helpless species could make life difficult for a galactic empire. Back on Earth, the situation was growing more urgent by the day. The Empire's ships were massing, preparing for an all-out assault on the planet's defenses. Yet the humans had learned to adapt quickly. They had reverse-engineered parts of the Empire's technology and begun developing their own weapons. New energy shields, faster ships, and more powerful weapons were produced at breakneck speed. The humans were not only defending, they were learning, growing, and evolving faster than anyone could have imagined. The Empire's military leaders were starting to grow frustrated. They had expected the Earthlings to cower, to beg for mercy as so many others had done before them. But the humans fought back with everything they had. It was unlike anything the Empire had ever faced. While they had conquered countless worlds, they had never encountered a species that refused to be dominated, especially one so unprepared for war. Commander Orion and her team were pushing the Empire's fleet to its limits. They had successfully infiltrated the Empire's communications network, spreading false intelligence and confusing their command structure. The Empire's ships were no longer able to act with the same efficiency they had at the start. Supplies were running low, and morale was beginning to erode. Humanity's first step in this war was not to win, but to make the Empire understand that Earth would not be an easy target. The Empire's command ship, a colossal vessel that dwarfed even the largest of Earth's ships, ordered an all-out bombardment of Earth's major cities. But the humans were ready. They had anticipated this move and had already placed powerful countermeasures in orbit around the planet. Massive energy shields, constructed with technology reverse-engineered from the Empire's own designs, activated, and the bombardment was stopped before it could begin. It was a small victory, but it was enough to make the Empire take notice. The war, now officially begun, was far from over. The humans had proven they were not as helpless as the Empire had believed. They had delayed the inevitable, but the battle was only just beginning. The Empire's fleet might have been vast and powerful, but the humans were proving that they had something even more valuable: determination. Back in the Empire's command center, high-ranking officials were beginning to grow uneasy. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer just a warning. They had fought back. They had shown they were capable of more than just fear. The Galactic Empire had thought they could crush this small world in an instant, but now they were starting to wonder if they had made a mistake, and the humans, though outmatched and outnumbered, were just getting started. The fight between humanity and the Galactic Empire had begun, but it was unlike any war the Empire had ever fought. The Empire was used to overwhelming its enemies with sheer force, using their advanced technology and massive fleets to crush anything that stood in their way. But humans were not like the other species the Empire had conquered. They were clever, adaptable, and determined. They had something the Empire didn't expect: an unwillingness to be defeated. Commander Sarah Orion had seen the first wave of attacks by the Empire fail. Earth had not crumbled as they had hoped. Instead, the humans had learned, adapted, and fought back with everything they had. Sarah and her team were now focused on a new strategy. They would fight the Empire with the very tools the Empire had brought to Earth. Using their limited resources, the humans began to reverse-engineer the technology the Empire had left behind. Ships, weapons, even the Empire's advanced energy shields. Everything was studied, taken apart, and rebuilt. With every day that passed, the humans grew more skilled in using the Empire's technology to their advantage. It wasn't just about defending anymore. The humans were beginning to fight back on equal terms. As Earth's space fleet grew stronger, Sarah knew the next step was to turn the tables completely. They couldn't just wait for the Empire to come to them. They had to take the fight to them. A daring plan was set into motion. Sarah, along with a team of highly skilled soldiers and engineers, would infiltrate one of the Empire's supply ships. The goal was to sabotage it, causing a massive disruption in the Empire's operations. If successful, this mission could delay the Empire's advance long enough for the humans to gain the upper hand. The mission was risky, and there was no guarantee of success. But the humans had no choice. They had to show the Empire that Earth was not just a planet waiting to be taken. Earth would fight for its survival, no matter what the cost. The team traveled in a small, stealthy ship, carefully navigating through the asteroid belt surrounding the Empire's fleet. They had learned from previous encounters, and they knew how to avoid detection. Their ship was equipped with the best stealth technology humans could make, designed to blend into the shadows of space. When they finally arrived at the Empire's supply ship, the team made their move. They carefully boarded the ship, using the quietest methods possible to avoid being detected. The Empire's soldiers were spread out, busy with their own duties, unaware of the danger lurking in the shadows. As Sarah and her team made their way through the ship's corridors, they planted small explosives in key areas: engine rooms, power supplies, and the communication center. The goal was to cripple the ship without causing too much damage to the crew. A well-timed explosion would cause confusion and chaos, allowing the humans to escape undetected. The sabotage mission was a success, and the supply ship was crippled. The humans made their escape just as the Empire's soldiers realized what had happened. Chaos erupted on the ship, and within hours, the Empire's fleet had lost an important supply line. The sabotage mission, though small in scale, had a profound impact. The Empire's forces were not used to this kind of disruption. The humans had shown they could strike at the heart of the Empire's operations. It wasn't just the technology the humans had gained. It was their ingenuity, their ability to think outside the box, that made them so dangerous. The Empire had underestimated them. And now, the humans were proving they would never give up. In the weeks that followed, more and more humans began to join the fight. Resistance movements started springing up on other planets across the galaxy. Earth's message was clear. They would not be ruled by the Empire. They would fight for their freedom, no matter the odds. Sarah Orion's role in the rebellion had become legendary. She was no longer just a commander. She was a symbol of humanity's resilience, a beacon of hope for all those who had suffered under the Empire's rule. Her leadership and bravery inspired others to join the cause, and soon, the rebellion had grown far beyond Earth's borders. The Empire, for the first time in centuries, was faced with a true challenge. The smaller, weaker species they had once considered insignificant were now fighting back in ways the Empire had never imagined. It wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. It was a fight for freedom, for the right to choose their own destiny. And humanity, with its determination and unwillingness to back down, was leading the charge. The war was far from over, but for the first time, the humans had the upper hand. They had proven that they could not only survive the Empire's attacks, they could turn the tide of war in their favor. It was a new kind of war, one where the underdog had become the true force to be reckoned with. The Galactic Empire was not a force to be underestimated. It was vast, its fleets powerful, and its technology beyond anything humans could have imagined. But for the first time, the Empire was facing an enemy that was not only fighting back, it was learning and adapting faster than the Empire had ever anticipated. Sarah Orion, now a symbol of humanity's resistance, watched as her team prepared for the next phase of the battle. The sabotage mission on the Empire's supply ship had dealt a serious blow to their operations, but the Empire was relentless. They would not give up easily. The Empire, humiliated by the attack on their supply ship, had begun to regroup. Their commanders were furious. No one, not even the Emperor himself, had believed that the humans could do so much damage. But the humans were learning. They had gained an edge, and the Empire was now determined to erase that advantage. They sent out a fleet of advanced warships, larger and more powerful than any they had previously deployed, to hunt down the human resistance. The new fleet arrived in the Sol system, its ships gliding through space with a menacing presence. The humans, having anticipated a counterattack, were ready. Earth's space fleet had been upgraded with the best technology they could muster. The new ships were faster, stronger, and more durable than the first generation of Earth's vessels. But despite these improvements, the humans knew that the Empire's new fleet was more powerful. Sarah stood on the command bridge, looking out at the vast expanse of space. She had seen her fair share of battles, but this one felt different. This wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. It was a fight for the future of humanity. The Empire had underestimated them. And now, the humans were out for more than just defense. They wanted to show the Empire that Earth would not be taken without a fight. Commander Orion, the Empire's fleet is closing in, one of her officers reported. They've deployed more warships. Their ships are equipped with new energy weapons, more powerful than anything we faced. Sarah's heart raced, but she didn't show it. The humans had faced challenges before, and each time they had found a way to overcome them. This battle would be no different. We'll use their overconfidence against them, Sarah said, her voice calm but resolute. Prepare the fleet for a hit-and-run strategy. We won't engage them head-on. We'll strike fast and disappear before they can retaliate. The plan was risky, but it was their best chance. The humans were still outnumbered and outgunned, but they had learned to use their agility and cunning to their advantage. They would not fight the Empire in a straight-up battle. They would rely on surprise, speed, and their ability to disrupt the Empire's plans at every turn. The battle began, and it was everything Sarah had expected. The Empire's fleet was powerful, their ships heavy with advanced weaponry. The humans, on the other hand, were smaller and more agile, relying on speed and stealth to outmaneuver their opponents. As the Empire's ships began their assault, Earth's fleet split into smaller groups, darting around the Empire's warships, attacking with precision and retreating before the Empire could mount a counterattack. It wasn't easy. The Empire's new energy weapons were devastating, and every strike from their ships sent shockwaves through the human fleet. But the humans were fast, always staying just out of reach, always striking when the Empire least expected it. They targeted the weaker points of the Empire's ships, hulls that weren't as well protected, engine rooms, communication systems. Each hit was designed to weaken the Empire's ability to fight back, even if it didn't destroy the ships completely. Sarah's heart pounded as she watched the Empire's fleet struggle to catch the humans. The battle was chaotic, with explosions lighting up the dark expanse of space. Yet for every strike the Empire landed, the humans landed too. The Empire was beginning to realize that they couldn't simply crush humanity with brute force. This wasn't a traditional war. This was a war of attrition, of intelligence, and of resilience. As the battle raged on, Sarah received a transmission. It was from a resistance group that had been working behind the scenes to gather intelligence on the Empire's tactics and plans. The message was simple: "We've found a weakness. The Empire's newest warships, while powerful, had a flaw. Their advanced energy weapons required a significant amount of time to recharge after each use. This left them vulnerable in the brief moments between attacks. The humans could exploit this weakness." The battle shifted. Sarah immediately ordered her fleet to focus on exploiting the Empire's ships during their recharge periods. The humans began to target the Empire's energy weapon systems, disabling them before they could fully recharge. Every time the Empire thought it had gained the upper hand, the humans struck again, causing further chaos within their ranks. The tide was turning. The Empire's fleet, once confident in its superiority, was now facing an enemy that could not be easily defeated. The humans were proving that they were not only capable of defending their home, they were capable of winning. In the heart of the Empire's command ship, the commanders were furious. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. The humans, though outgunned and outnumbered, had turned the battle into something the Empire could not easily win. They had shown the Empire that their tactics and their courage were enough to turn the tide. Sarah's voice crackled over the comms, steady and confident. "Keep up the pressure. We're not finished yet. This is only the beginning." The war was no longer just a skirmish. It had become a true contest of wills. The humans had proven time and again that they could fight back against the might of the Galactic Empire. Earth, once thought to be a helpless world, had become a thorn in the side of the Empire, refusing to bend or break. But despite humanity's successes, the Empire was not finished yet. The last battle had been a blow to their pride, but the Empire's leaders had already begun to reorganize. They had underestimated the humans, yes, but they would not make that mistake again. They would crush this rebellion once and for all. Back on Earth, Sarah Orion and her team had just returned from a successful mission that dealt another blow to the Empire's supply lines. The sabotage had been a success, but Sarah knew that this war was far from over. Every victory, no matter how small, came at a great cost. The Empire was vast, its resources nearly endless, and the humans could not afford to rest for even a moment. "We've done well," Sarah said as she stood with her officers in the war room, "but the Empire won't stop coming. We need to stay one step ahead, or all of this will be for nothing." The officers nodded in agreement. The rebellion had grown stronger, but they were still vastly outnumbered. The Empire's fleet was vast, its resources endless, and yet the humans had become a force to be reckoned with. It was clear that the Empire had underestimated Earth's ability to resist. One officer, Lieutenant Pierce, spoke up. "Commander Orion, we've been tracking the Empire's movements, and we believe they're planning something big. A full-scale invasion of Earth is imminent." Sarah's expression hardened. "We knew it was coming. The question is, what can we do to stop it?" The Empire had been quiet for weeks, seemingly preparing for a final strike. Earth's defenses were stronger than ever, but Sarah knew they would need more than just shields and weapons to hold their ground. They needed something that would give them an edge, something the Empire couldn't anticipate. "We need to take the fight to them," Sarah said, her eyes glinting with determination. "It's time to show the Empire that Earth will not be their prize." The plan was risky, but the rebellion had no choice. Sarah and her team would lead a mission to infiltrate the Empire's command ship, the heart of their fleet, and disable its central control systems. If they could disrupt the Empire's command structure, it would create chaos among their forces, buying Earth valuable time to strengthen its defenses and launch counterattacks. The journey would be dangerous. The command ship was located at the heart of the Empire's forces, heavily guarded and nearly impenetrable. But Sarah had confidence in her team. They had faced impossible odds before, and each time they had come through stronger. As the team prepared for the mission, Sarah gathered her crew together. "We fought hard for this moment. But it's not just about us anymore. It's about every person on this planet, every soul who has stood up against the Empire. We're fighting for their future." The mission was set into motion. The humans' stealth ships slipped through the Empire's defenses, relying on their superior tactics and knowledge of the enemy's weaknesses. They navigated through the vast fleet undetected, using every trick they knew to avoid detection. But the closer they got to the Empire's command ship, the more dangerous it became. Empire forces were everywhere, patrolling every inch of space around the ship. The humans had to be precise, their every move calculated to perfection. One wrong step, one miscalculation, and they would be discovered. As they approached the command ship, Sarah felt the weight of the mission settle over her. This wasn't just a mission to disable a ship. This was the heart of the Empire. If they succeeded, they would deal a crushing blow to the Empire's entire operation. If they failed, it could mean the end of the rebellion. The team infiltrated the command ship through a series of hidden vents, bypassing guards and security systems. They moved silently, their footsteps echoing through the cold, empty corridors of the massive ship. The command center was ahead, a towering room filled with screens and consoles, where the Empire's top commanders controlled the entire fleet. Sarah's heart pounded as they approached the central control room. They had made it this far, but they had no idea what awaited them inside. The control room was heavily guarded, and they would have to disable the security systems before they could make their move. But just as they were about to breach the room, an alarm sounded. The Empire had detected their presence. "Move," Sarah shouted, as the team sprang into action. The Empire's soldiers rushed toward them, weapons raised. The humans fought with everything they had, using their speed and agility to take down the guards. But they didn't have much time. They had to reach the central control systems before the Empire's reinforcements arrived. In a final, desperate push, Sarah and her team reached the heart of the Empire's command ship. With a few well-placed strikes, they disabled the central control systems, sending the Empire's entire fleet into chaos. The ships, once coordinated and powerful, were now disoriented and vulnerable. The mission was a success. As Sarah and her team escaped the command ship, they knew the battle was far from over. But they had dealt a crippling blow to the Empire, and for the first time, the humans had the upper hand. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could strike back and win. The days following the attack on the Empire's command ship were tense. The humans had struck a powerful blow, and for the first time, the Empire was scrambling. Its fleets, once organized and coordinated, were now in disarray. The leadership that had once been so certain of victory was no longer sure of its position. Earth had proven that it could resist the Empire's might, and that realization was spreading quickly across the galaxy. Sarah Orion stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, staring out into the vastness of space. The battle had turned in their favor, but she knew this moment of triumph would be fleeting. The Empire was not known for giving up. They would strike back, and they would strike hard. "We've delayed them for now," Sarah said, her voice calm but determined. "But this won't last forever. The Empire will regroup, and when they do, they will come at us harder than ever." Lieutenant Pierce, standing beside her, nodded. "We've done everything we can to prepare. Earth's defenses are stronger than ever. But we can't keep up this pace forever. Eventually, we will run out of resources." Sarah turned to face him, her gaze steady. "We'll find a way. We always do. But we need more than just defense. We need to end this war." The humans had become skilled at fending off the Empire's attacks, but they could not continue this fight indefinitely. The Empire's resources were nearly limitless, while Earth's were still stretched thin. Sarah knew they needed a decisive strike, something that would end the war once and for all. In the Empire's capital, the Emperor was furious. He had never been challenged like this. The humans, once insignificant in the grand scale of the galaxy, had grown into a true threat. They had embarrassed the Empire. They had struck at its heart. And now, the Emperor was determined to show the universe that Earth would pay for its defiance. The Empire's high command was meeting in a grand chamber, its leaders discussing the next phase of the war. The Emperor, a figure cloaked in darkness and power, stood at the center of the room, his presence commanding the attention of every officer. "We have been humiliated," the Emperor said, his voice cold and menacing. "This rebellion must be crushed. We will no longer waste time with small strikes. It's time to launch the final assault on Earth." One of the commanders spoke up, a seasoned officer known for his ruthlessness. "We have the power to destroy Earth in a single strike. We have the means to wipe them out completely." The Emperor's eyes gleamed with malice. "Do it. Bring every fleet we have. Prepare the dreadnoughts and launch the full force of the Empire against Earth. This will be the end of their rebellion." The decision was made. The Empire's fleets, massive and powerful, would converge on Earth. They would unleash a devastating force unlike anything the humans had ever faced. The Emperor believed that this final strike would crush any hope left for the human resistance. As the Empire prepared for the attack, Sarah and her team worked tirelessly to bolster Earth's defenses. They knew what was coming. They had seen the signs. The Empire was bringing everything it had. And once again, the humans would have to fight with everything they had. But this time, it would be different. Sarah knew that their only chance to survive this assault was to strike first. The Empire was bringing its most powerful weapons to bear, but they were not invincible. Sarah and her team began to formulate a daring plan. They would target the Empire's dreadnoughts, the enormous warships that served as the backbone of its fleet. These ships were nearly indestructible, but Sarah believed they had one weakness: their central power cores. If they could destroy the cores, it would disable the entire fleet, sending the Empire's most powerful ships into chaos. It was a long shot, but it was the only chance they had. The plan was risky. The dreadnoughts were heavily guarded, and the Empire would stop at nothing to protect them. But Sarah and her team were used to impossible odds. They had faced the Empire's might before and come out victorious. This time, they would not be fighting to survive. They would be fighting to end the war. The mission was set into motion. The humans' fleet, now bolstered by advanced technology, and the bravery of its people, set off to confront the Empire head-on. As Sarah looked out at the advancing fleet, she felt a surge of hope. For the first time in a long while, they were not on the defensive. They were going on the offensive. The battle was intense from the moment it began. The Empire's dreadnoughts loomed large on the horizon, their massive weapons firing at will. The humans' fleet moved quickly, staying just out of range, striking with precision and speed. They focused all their efforts on one thing, the central power cores of the dreadnoughts. It wasn't easy. The Empire's defenses were formidable, and every move the humans made was met with overwhelming firepower. But the humans were not intimidated. They had come this far, and they weren't going to stop now. Sarah's heart raced as the battle raged on. The humans were getting closer to their goal. Every strike, every maneuver brought them one step closer to disabling the dreadnoughts. It was a race against time, and the humans had no choice but to give everything they had. With a final, desperate push, Sarah and her team managed to breach the defenses of the lead dreadnought. They made their way to the core, their hearts pounding in their chests. They planted the charges, and within moments, the ship exploded, sending a shockwave through the Empire's fleet. The dreadnoughts began to falter. The Empire's ships, once powerful and unstoppable, were now disoriented and vulnerable. The tide was turning once again, and this time, the humans were on the winning side. The battle had reached its climax. The Empire's once mighty fleet, its vast warships and powerful dreadnoughts, was in disarray. The humans had struck at the heart of the Empire's most fearsome vessels, and now, with their power cores destroyed, the Empire's grip on the galaxy was slipping. For the first time in the war, it was clear: humanity had won. Sarah Orion stood at the bridge of Earth's flagship, watching the explosions ripple through the vast expanse of space. The once overwhelming Empire was now nothing more than a shadow of its former self. The dreadnoughts, symbols of the Empire's power, were disabled. The enemy's ships were scattered, struggling to regain control. And all around her, humanity's fleet had achieved what once seemed impossible. "We've done it," Lieutenant Pierce said, his voice filled with disbelief. "The Empire is falling apart." Sarah nodded but remained focused. "This isn't over yet. The Empire will regroup and try to strike back. But we've broken their back. They're not going to recover from this." Despite the victory, Sarah knew the war was far from over. The Empire, though weakened, was still a formidable force, and the Emperor had not yet been defeated. Earth's fleet had won the battle, but the war was still a fight for survival. There would be more challenges ahead. "We need to finish this," Sarah said, turning to her officers. "We can't let them escape and rebuild. This is our chance to bring an end to this war." The humans had not only fought back with strength, they had fought back with intelligence. They had learned the Empire's weaknesses and exploited them. They had used the enemy's overconfidence against them. And now, with their fleet in disarray, the humans had a chance to strike at the heart of the Empire. It was time to end the Empire's reign once and for all. Sarah's plan was clear. They would push toward the Empire's capital, the source of all its power. They would invade the very heart of the Empire and confront the Emperor. The war would be over only when the Emperor was no longer in control. The journey to the Empire's capital was perilous. The humans' fleet moved cautiously, knowing the Empire would not go down without a fight. But despite their vigilance, the Empire's forces were in no position to defend their home. The battle had taken its toll on the Empire, and its forces were scattered, broken, and demoralized. As Earth's fleet approached the capital, Sarah felt the weight of the moment. The final confrontation was within reach. This was the moment that would determine the future of humanity. Would they remain free, or would the Empire crush them under its boot? The capital planet loomed large on the view screen, its once imposing structures now appearing vulnerable. The humans' fleet positioned itself in orbit, ready to launch the final assault. Sarah stood before her team, her face resolute. "This is it," she said. "This is our last chance to end this war. We fight for our freedom, for the future of our children. We fight to show the Empire that we will never bow down to them." The final assault began. Earth's fleet, now fully mobilized, descended toward the planet's surface. The Empire's defenses, though still strong, were no match for the combined might and determination of the human resistance. The capital was taken, its walls breached, and the Emperor's stronghold was finally within reach. Inside the Emperor's palace, panic was setting in. The Emperor had once ruled the galaxy with an iron fist, but now, in the face of humanity's resilience, his empire was crumbling. He had underestimated the humans, and now he would pay the price. Sarah and her team stormed the palace, their every step bringing them closer to their final goal. The Emperor had hidden himself away, surrounded by his most loyal guards, but he could not escape the reality that his reign was over. Finally, they reached the throne room. The Emperor, once a figure of unimaginable power, stood there, his face twisted in anger and disbelief. "You think you've won?" The Emperor spat, his voice filled with venom. "This galaxy will always belong to the Empire. You are nothing." Sarah stood tall, her eyes cold but filled with conviction. "No, Your Excellency. The galaxy belongs to those who fight for it. And we, the people of Earth, have fought. We've fought for our future, and we've won." With those words, Sarah gave the signal. The Emperor's guards, once loyal to him, hesitated. The power he had held for so long had begun to fade, and they could feel it. The Empire, their empire, was falling apart. They could no longer ignore the reality of what was happening. With a single decisive move, the humans took the Emperor into custody. The once immense power he wielded crumbled before him, and the galaxy was freed from his tyrannical rule. The war was over. The Empire, once the greatest force in the galaxy, had fallen. The humans had proven that they could not only survive but thrive in the face of overwhelming odds. They had shown the universe that Earth was no longer a world to be ignored or conquered. It was a world that had risen up, fought for its freedom, and won. As Sarah and her team looked out over the galaxy they had just saved, they knew the journey wasn't over. There would be rebuilding, healing, and growing pains. But one thing was certain: humanity would never be the same again. They had faced the might of the Empire, and they had won. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson that day: never underestimate humanity. Because when pushed to the edge, humans would always fight back.